Ladies and urged Prime Minister Modi led centre give Bharat Ratna to Ratan Tata. That's a resolution that has been passed by the cabinet today. They are saying that the contribution of Ratan Tata has been unprecedented and it changed the way India is perceived in the world. And it has urged Government of India to give a Bharat Ratna to Ratan Tata. The noted industrialist, a philanthropist, has already been conferred with India's highest civilian awards, including Padma Bhushan and Padma Vibhushan, way back in 2000 and 2008, respectively. Now, even as this entire demand for Bharat Ratna really grows, and tonight, as I said, we're going to be focusing on this demand, but through the lens of those who knew Ratan Tata well. Before we get on to that, how is Bharat Ratna decided? Well, it is the highest civilian award of the country, awarded in recognition of exceptional service from a cross-section. It's very different from how a Padma award is treated, and the recommendations are made by the Prime Minister to President, and a formal recommendation by and large is not necessarily. Usually, the award could be restricted to a maximum of 3 in a year, but of course there have been exceptions. So has been the exception just this year ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. But as I said tonight, we're going to be remembering the life of Ratan Tata and how best to do this amid a growing demand for Bharat Ratna with Niranjan Hiranandani, who is the MD for Hiranandani Group, as well as Keki Mistry, who's the chairman for HDFC LIFE. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us. Keki Mistry, let me just take my first question to you. How do you look at the legacy that Ratan Tata leaves behind in life and in death?
It is impossible for me, or for that matter, anybody else, to really describe the enormous legacy that Mr. Tata leaves behind. It's almost impossible to describe it. He was a legend like nobody else. India has had many legendary leaders, but to my mind, there has been none like Mr. Tata. He was a man with such incredible vision, such incredible foresight on what needs to be done, what should be done, and he had the courage and the vision and the ability to be able to carry it forward. He was truly an outstanding human being, an extraordinary human being who lived a very simple life despite all the achievements that he had over the years. As a business leader, if I was to describe him, I would say he had so much of conviction, so much of courage, and he took some very bold decisions during the time when he was the chairman. I mean, for an Indian company in those days, pre-2010, to go abroad and buy international companies was something which was really unheard of. But he took India on the global map through the acquisition of JLR, for Tata Motors, then Chorus for Tata Steel, and then finally Tetley for Tata Consumer. So these were not easy decisions, because in those days, nobody could imagine that an Indian company could go abroad and buy such global giants. And he therefore truly took India on the global map.
That's right.
I was telling someone in the morning that I remember maybe 13, 14 years ago, driving from Budapest, which is in Hungary, to Czechoslovakia, to Prague in Czechoslovakia. It's about a 5.5, 6 hour road drive. And I remember along the way, at two different places, I saw Tata board and with some Tata business being carried out. It was such a proud moment for me as an Indian in those days to see an Indian company with operations overseas and regarded so well overseas. So I think he really took India on the global map. And I think under his leadership, the name Tata became a household name, not just in India, but even globally. So I used to be on the board of Commonwealth Development Corporation, which is a British government company. And even that was in 2014-15 period. And even at that time, all the directors over there would constantly have something to discuss about India. And when they were discussing something about India, inevitably the Tata name would come. So he had created that name, that image for the Tata Group, for India, which can never ever be parallel. But I think really, if you ask me what separated Mr. Tata from all the other great business leaders we had over time, was his simplicity, his humility, his willingness to help people, his massive focus on governance. He's helped so many startups. He's helped so many. He used to meet people easily. He didn't have to be a person of any particular stature to be wanting to meet him. He would meet ordinary people and he would give them advice. He would be very accessible to people. So I think this simplicity, this humility is what stands out in a man who has achieved as much as he has achieved.
How beautifully put. Mr. Mistry, I want to ask you this. I mean, he's being referred to as a legend, as an icon, as an industrialist, but he's also somebody who's championed India. He's been a champion for India, and very few people have been able to combine all of these aspects together in life and in death as well.
One is the business side, and the other is he as a person, as an individual, as a human being. Businesses, I told you, the decision in 2005 or 6 or whenever it was to acquire JLR and to acquire Chorus would have been extremely difficult decisions. Extremely difficult decisions. That was not the time when the Indian companies or Tata Motors or Tata Steel was that big that it could take such bold decisions. But he did that. He took those decisions. So that is on the business side. But what on a human note, as a person, as an individual, as a human being, I think his humbleness, his humility, his philanthropic attitude, the fact that whatever he's got, he's given out. Tata Group has loaned worldwide for the charity that it has been doing over the years. And despite the fact that the group has created so much wealth, such enormous amounts of wealth, as a group, the money is put in Tata Trust, and the trust money is used exclusively for charitable purposes. So the amount of charity that the Tata Group has done is just unbelievable. It is just huge. It's tremendous.
Right. Mr. Hiranandani, if I can get you in, like, what's the emotions that you're really having at this point? It's a sea of love. And one remembers what Ratan Tata has once said: if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to walk far, walk together. He seems to have lived just that.
I'm overwhelmed because of the icon, because of the industrialist, because of the leadership, because of the quality of the human being that we had. The kind of leadership he has led is actually iconic. Iconic in the sense that the contribution that he has made to the country is unbelievable and great. But contribution people talk about in terms of GDP. People talk about profits. They talk about making money. They're talking about market valuations. But here was a man who not only did that, but also the multiplier effect of this has been the fact that he did it ethically. He did it in a manner by which he had a humility, never looked up to the point where he had to say that you do it with any unethical practice, but make the market value. No, 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 no. You have to be ethical, you have to be correct.
Wow. You know, because you've known him personally and professionally so well, Mr. Hiranandani, would you want to give us examples of how you saw this through?
Well, let me tell you two examples. The first one is the one where he got an award from Prince Philip, now the king, and in 2018, where he was to be awarded and he was about to leave for London. The last moment he cancelled the trip, and they were seeking the reason because they were very, very worried at that time that Mr. Ratan Tata was unwell, and that is why he must have cancelled it at the last one. On clarification, it was found that his dog was unwell, and he couldn't bear to leave his dog at home who was unwell. So, and when Prince Philip found out about it, he said, "This is a true human being." And he understood what a man Ratan Tata is, and he made that statement over there. So I think a person who would be able to not go to UK, not get all the awards, not do it, any other person would have left it. Even if the siblings are not well or the children are not well, they will fly out for getting an award from Prince Philip. But here was a man only for his dog. The empathy was truly innate. It was in him. So these are the type of things that very, very few people can possibly believe to happen to him. So 4 months ago, July end, I think, he sent me a message saying that he would like to start a Tata Parkinson Foundation.
Wow.
He has Parkinson. He was stopping to get into from the companies and reduce his activities. But he had Parkinson. He remembered my father had Parkinson. And he asked me to join, along with my hospital, the Tata Parkinson Foundation as a co-trustee, as a co-trustee for his foundation. And I did. So on the 1st of August, 2024, we have formed the Tata Parkinson Foundation at the age of 86, when he was an ailing man.
Wow, that's tremendous. Mr. Mistry, you know, when you hear stories like this, when you hear experiences like this, what does one really make out of? Because these are, this is beyond being just a visionary or a legend.
Very well deserved. I think he, in my opinion, he should be given the highest national award that is possible, because he created such incredible wealth for people and took nothing for himself.
But do you think India needs to relook how it honors its legends?
Well, you don't have to ask me that question, but yes. I think someone like Mr. Tata his contribution to what he has done for India should be recognized in the highest possible tradition.
Mr. Hiranandani, is it a legacy that has been well honored?
Be a part of our ancestry, our books, our history, and it doesn't matter. He did his job. He did what he had to do. Now it's up to us whether we learn from it or not. It's going to be our victory and our failure if we don't.
Right. But how do you look at the increasing chorus that's been demanding for Bharat Ratna for Ratan Tata?
Of course he should get it. If there is something bigger than Bharat Ratna, I think he should get that too. So I think, I think there have to be words bigger than Bharat Ratna too. And I'm just not able to catch those words. Maybe I'll think about it and I come back to you on TV when I find the right word for people like these. Because on one side, you have a Gandhi who is, so ethical, so valuable, so real, so giving, so forgiving. And the other side, he's also a businessman par excellence who grew the companies not
That's
only
right.
in India but all over the world, acquired the JLL Motors and also porous steel plants all over the world. You can have one or the other. How do you get both? I mean, where this man is a fantastic businessman, great acumen, ethical values, great success. And at the same time, humility, ethical, humbleness, giving, wanting to give for charity and to the people all the time. Very rare to get a combination of both these people. So you can have great, successful businessmen whom we should honor, of course, and great people of humbleness and humility of that kind who is so giving. But here is a person who's it. So he needs a double Bharat Ratna. He needs two of them in order to make it go. I don't think he deserves one.
Well, I don't think anybody would disagree with you, Mr. Hiranandani, as well as Mr. Mistry. Thank you very much for joining us and for sharing your valuable time. Thank you very much. All right, and I'm also being joined at this point by Shekhar Iyer, who's a senior journalist. Thank you very much, Mr. Iyer. We were just discussing the tribute, the love, the sea of it all, quite literally. And amid all of this, now, even in death, you have an increasing chorus for Bharat Ratna for Ratan Tata. How do you look at it? What's your perspective on this? Would you see this as a missed opportunity?
Well, Bharat Ratna, ever since it was constituted, right from, say, 1954 onwards, there is a messaging. It's a political tool of messaging. Now, well, in the case of Ratan Tata, there is a tremendous outpouring of emotions for a man who is known for his philanthropic contribution rather than as a captain of the industry. And if you recall, in February 2021 itself, there was a campaign to give Ratan Tata Bharat Ratna. The campaign became viral on the social media, and Ratan Tata himself stepped in, calling for an end, saying that, look, it's enough. I've already got a lot of love in this country. It's enough that I am an Indian and people are proud of my. So, but one cannot escape the fact that there have been governments that have favored some leaders, some personalities with Bharat Ratna, and have also ignored some of them. So therefore, I think this is going to be there. And you see, there is one personality whose name has come very frequently for Bharat Ratna. The demand has come. But his name has yet to be announced. And I do not know before Maharashtra election it will be announced. And I'm talking about Damodar Veer Savarkar. Veer Savarkar's name, there is several times, and this demand has come, and for some reason, the Modi government has not said anything on this. Though, if Savarkar is given a Bharat Ratna, only perhaps the Congress at the national level may be opposed, because in Maharashtra itself, no matter which political party a leader may belong, there is a consensus that his contribution to freedom struggle was worthy of being honored with a Bharat Ratna, whether it is Sharad Pawar's NCP or Ajit Pawar's NCP or both the Senas, BJP. I mean, in Maharashtra, there won't be any division of opinion. Well, at the national level, perhaps the left and as well as the Congress, the National Congress, they would have difference. So therefore, I think this is an issue where when it comes to political personalities, there is definitely a polarization of views. But in cases like Ratan Tata or Sachin Tendulkar or any other personality, it would not happen. Like, take for instance, in February this year, Modi government decided to honor Kharpuri Thakur, who is seen as an OBC icon. And he's a hero of OBC classes in Bihar and particularly in the northern belt. but he was also known as a strong anti-Congress leader. So naturally, no Congress government could have considered him. Of course, with OBC politics being as dominant now than ever before, perhaps any government would have done it sooner or later. Similarly, let's consider the case of Charan Singh. Charan Singh is the tallest Jat leader from Western UP, and he was known as a Kisan leader. So honoring him also, one saw that there was not much, I would say, murmurs of protest, rather than saying that, well, he deserved one. That is the kind of message came, because people are also are not willing to risk their opinion in case of personalities like Charan Singh, because who is held in high esteem by the Jat community and as well as by the farmers community. And take the case of Narasimha Rao. Narasimha Rao, he led the first non-Gandhi Congress government, person not belonging to the family. But for a period when Babri Masjid was demolished in 1992. Otherwise, his contribution in terms of economic liberalization and lot of other changes, Narasimha Rao would be considered as a person who has carved out a special place when it comes to economic growth of India. But then Congress could not consider, because Sonia Gandhi herself had some reservations about granting it to Narasimha Rao, as well as the fact that many Congress leaders felt honoring Narasimha Rao would again reopen Congress' own failures when it came to Babri Masjid. So therefore, I think there is a political messaging in this, and there is a political, I would say, tightrope walking also. But then this is inevitable.
Right, Mr. Shekhar Iyer, is there a way India needs to rethink this? Let's look at the panel. It's not a panel in case, but who recommends this? This is recommended by the Prime Minister. The final go-ahead comes from the President. Across party lines, across governments, does this require a rethink?
See, Bharat Ratna, unlike other civilian awards, whether it is Padma Vibhushan or Padma Bhushan or Padma Shri, these awards are not on the basis of recommendation from the general public. See, in the case of these civilian awards, you have seen this government, particularly Modi government, has enlarged the circle to be covered. In the sense, many unknown Indians, unknown heroes have been honored. You notice in the last decade or so, since Prime Minister Modi has been very particular that some of the people who are picked up are those who have made a special mark, but they are unknown outside the sphere of influence or outside even their state. So you have seen in the case of civilian awards, there has been a marked difference in how people are being selected. And as we know, for civilian awards, in fact, Home Ministry invites recommendations from people. Many people, many associations, they do send recommendation to the Home Ministry. And the committee that is constituted for this purpose considers these cases. And in fact, if you look at the list of people who have been covered in the last, say, 5 years, there are very, very interesting personalities. You have had the people, those who work for environment, for the downtrodden, for protection of and promotion of some handicraft. There are several interesting cases have come. Now, when it comes to Bharat Ratna, I think it's a different category where public can, of course, there are people who appeal to the government to give Bharat Ratna, but then it's a special class because a Bharat Ratna is not like a civilian award. Therefore, it is left to the wisdom of the government to honor somebody who is again, is there, and that choice is again appreciated by everyone.
Right. Mr. Shekhar Iyer, thank you very much for joining us. It's a political tightrope, but also it's a recognition of excellence. But nonetheless, rising, growing demand for Bharat Ratna for Ratan Tata, and I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Thank you very much, Shekhar Iyer, for joining us.